Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is December 19th. And you are listening and watching the Daily AI Show live. Today, we are talking about ChatGPT Projects, which is the drop that 12 days of OpenAI shipments happened almost a week ago on Friday the 17th. Um, is that wrong? That may be wrong. Because today's the 19th. Friday, whatever day that was, Friday the 15th. There we go. It's kind of amazing. Initially, there were some things about it that were disappointing because it's early, right? There are some limitations in it, but on the morning of the 16th, our co-host, who's not here today but did inspire the show, wrote in our Slack, "I am loving projects so much. A little organization in ChatGPT goes a long way." And then name the projects: the newsletter project, the book project, general show research, those sorts of things. And so we just wanted to do a show to talk about the tips and tricks that we are figuring out, some use cases that we are using or seeing, and get your questions so that we can answer those too. Hey to everyone in the chat. Thank you. Good morning. And who has something that they want to get us started with an idea about this? Andy, you're really great at sort of orienting us. Have you had thoughts about projects?
Not only thoughts, but I've dabbled with it, and I have some initial impressions, and then also some further impressions based on my dabbling. So for my first reaction was, meh. Okay, it gives me some organization. Am I really going to go through all of my prior chats and organize them in colored folders and do that? Nah, I'm not likely to do that. But then, the features of projects allow you to create a workspace around a single mission, if you will, just like you might build a custom GPT. But now you've got a lot of different documents that you can call on. And I'm going to give you an example, and I can actually share my screen and show you what that looks like. But let me just describe what I'm doing. What I'm working on right now is refinement of content generation based on providing a file that has, in the form of a CSV file, that has all the necessary keywords, context, and content to generate that content. So what I can do with projects now is I can put the entire list of all of the different lessons that I'm trying to generate in this thing. I can put that CSV file up, I upload it to a project. And then I also upload the prompt template for the lesson generation. So I'm, the use case here is I want to have a model that can quickly generate a comprehensive lesson on a subject matter, and I can provide it with additional content and context to serve as the sort of the mini retrieval augmented generation process that will actually then result in the lesson. Okay, so let me see if I can get a quick screen share here and show you how that works.
Awesome.
All right, here we go.
So while you're doing that, all right, excellent. Here we go.
Okay, so here's the project, and this is the interface. So it's going to produce something over here on the right, a la Canvas, and over here on the left is I'm referring here in my initial prompt in the chat within the project. Now I've already previously uploaded files for all of the different lessons with all of the different columns in that CSV file representing the keywords and the context and the additional sort of example content that I've provided. I built that. Now it's in there, and instead of having to go and build a custom GPT that then I have to cut and paste and put things in, I can do this. I want you to retrieve the keywords, context, and content values for the lesson. Structured prompting, I just refer to the name of the lesson that's in that data. and generate a lesson based on those inputs to the prompt found in the prompt template file. Then, according to your instructions, here, pause. One of the features of projects is you can have files, but you can also provide it with instructions, many instructions. And one of the instructions in here is I explained its mission, and I wanted to do this, which is, generate a lesson, then evaluate the lesson based on its thoroughness in covering that topic, and then provide suggestions on changes to the data that's in the file that will improve the quality of the lesson. So then I'm just calling over here in this initial prompt in the chat that started this. I'm saying, go get this lesson context, which is for structured prompting, and generate the lesson. Okay. First thing it did was it generated some code. You're looking on the left-hand side of what happened when I asked it to do that. It found the data. It understood the format of the content of the data in that file, and then it started its process. So it says, here are the details extracted for the structured prompting lesson. Shows these keywords, and there's a YouTube video in there about it. I don't think it's going to read the YouTube video, but we'll test that later. And then it gives me this feedback and suggestions for improvement over here, right? So in the content that's missing, there's nothing in there. So your suggestion is include a specific example of structured prompting compared to an unstructured one. Great. I've got to make that thing happen. Okay. But up here on keywords, its suggestions is add more keywords like prompt engineering, AI communication, effective instructions, and enhanced outputs. Now, remember, this model knows what I'm trying to do, and it knows that I didn't use these terms that have some weight in the quality of the content that it can generate if you give me these prompts. So now I go back to the CSV file, I add these to that column, and I regenerate, and I do it again. So I can do that now in this message over here on the left for the next thing. Okay, so let's do it now for good. Now follow your instructions above to find and generate the lesson leadership prompting. Well, let's see if it works. Okay, it's running a Python script here. Okay, it's got the information from the file. So this is like a mini agent, right? I've given it just some text instruction, and now it knows how to go about this process that I'm going to do iteratively. I could actually now give it instructions to say, do the same thing for all of the rows in the file. And then I've got this enormous, series of content generation. And on the left, I've got all of this feedback for suggestions and improvement. Now, remember, I'm not touching the keyboard here at all anymore. I've just done that. And so based on this example, I'm really excited about projects as a means of, as a user interface for doing multi-step processes with data and instructions that I've already committed to the project. There you go.
Thanks. That's actually a great example, and I love the demo. I am going to take it off the screen, but if anyone wants to refer to it, I'll put it back on. Greg was asking for the difference between projects and custom GPTs, and there are some significant differences. Andy, do you have a custom GPT? Like, did you try this in the other format, or did you go straight to projects because that is the
It's
now?
kind of the latest and greatest method within OpenAI to work on this kind of project.
Yeah.
I could create a series of custom GPTs and call them separately. They could have different functions and so on. So it's quite doable within the custom GPT framework.
Mhm.
But here it was faster and easier. I just
Yep.
uploaded, not like I could create a custom GPT that had the file that had that in, but I'm not as confident the custom GPT could weave these things together like the projects interface can.
Right. Right. That I agree with that. Greg, to answer your questions, the m- projects are also limited, I believe, to 20 files and an 8,000 character instruction limit. So they share that across. One of the things with custom GPTs, though, is that you go into the custom GPT editor and then you have to publish it, right? It's all in that framework. In projects, you can just go to the instruction box and edit it so that when you are looking at it, you're seeing the files, like you can have access to the files, you're seeing access to the instructions. It's very similar to Anthropic's projects in that way. It's also automatically organizing. So all of the chats that you have within the project show up under your project as opposed to when you're working with a custom GPT, they just slot in the thing that
Yeah.
they have not given us folders for of all your conversations.
And importantly, I believe that projects is distinguished in this way. Once you've had a chat like the two I just did for structured prompting and leadership prompting, now the content that was generated that's available in that chat is a part of the context for this project.
So there's some disagreement about whether that's actually true, but it very well may be, right? Like all
That's
of the
right.
things that I'm seeing,
It's testable.
it's silly for it not to be. Um, one of the limitations talking about custom GPTs is that at the moment you can't include a custom GPT in your project. Like you can't call it into the conversation. It's a whole different thing, and that seems like a big gap and a flaw. Paul Reitzer on X tweeted at ChatGPT and said, "Hey," and got the answer that it's on the list. So it's
Beth, just because I started the demo with projects open,
yeah,
just for familiarity or familiarization of the audience, can you go ahead and share my screen now? Which is, yeah, this is what the project looks like. So here
excellent.
I'm in my chat GPT. Here's a bunch of different custom GPTs. Some of them I built, some of them I just used, and they're now in this list. And then down here, you see projects. When you
Yeah,
click on my project, lesson and prompt editing, this is the UI. And if I was actually using my cursor on the show view of it, so you're not seeing that. Anyway, so this is my project files. When I click into there, you can see I've uploaded just two files, a
yep.
CSV and a Markdown file, right? So I could add more files so it had access to more data that it can retrieve according to my instructions. And then
Mhm.
over here in instructions, I said, you're going to be assisting in refining the quality and presentation of a topical lesson you'll generate from these data. Now, I'm pretty, I guess, practiced in writing prompts. So my instructions here.
Hey everybody. Apparently I had a little glitch. We're getting everybody back on. There is Junmi. Thanks. I'm gonna change my name. I'm gonna hope that Carl and everybody comes back as well.
The holiday gremlins rear their heads.
Yeah, no idea. Like I think we had a power glitch in my
I'm back.
thank
Hey,
you.
all right.
Hey, thanks for all that. It looks like we're still streaming, which is awesome. Yay. Um, Andy, will you share your screen again? Because that did not come up.
Sure. Okay. So where did you guys lose me?
You were talking about adding files.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I showed you over here. This is the project UI. I can add files. I can add instructions, and that simplifies things, right? So I'm going to prepare my files. I put them up, and then over here in instructions, I'm putting in a prompt, basically, which is a system prompt, to use the correct terminology. So this is a custom instruction to this project, and this is context, objective, here's instructions, uh, refers to, the data that it's going to have, and so on. So save those. I have these, and I can start a new chat and just say, well, you saw me demo it before. I just give the name of another lesson, and it'll go through that same process. And I have, as an output of that, within seconds, specific instructions to modify these files to improve the quality of the content.
Nice. Nice. Yes, so that's one of the examples of why projects are helpful. You can also color code them. So in some ways it's a more organizing tool than a particularly extended function, but the organization is like super key, right? Like the organization is what we've been asking for. The other piece that I discovered, Andy, and I don't know if you did as well, is that there are things that you can attach that you can't upload as files. So in the actual chat, you can still like attach a file from your Google Drive. You can attach sheets from your Google Drive, right? Like those sorts of things. The files that you associate with the project have to be uploaded from your computer right now, and there are limitations. I successfully uploaded an image and a doc or a markdown file, but it wouldn't let me upload an Excel spreadsheet or even like the sheets or any of the, like, that didn't work. I didn't download it as a CSV. I don't know whether you can upload the CSV. Andy did, so I guess we do know that you can upload the CSV. But again, this is new, and we're coming to figure out like what can you do now, and what are the things that we can see coming from this. Carl, what are your thoughts about
I think
projects?
to me the biggest thing that I'm waiting for a project, because what I'm starting to do is create for each client. We're going to have a project for that client, right? All the conversations that I would have had with ChatGPT, any general project files, but more so have conversations against the entire project, like an internal conversation. So I didn't see if you are able to, and maybe because I haven't used it for that function, is having conversations with it. So I'd love to be able to say for whatever prospect or client, have full conversations with hey, so how is this project doing? Here's the budget, or here's the finances. Or so there's two types of conversations. One, like more so from a financial or internal kind of process, but also one is, what are the things that we could do with the project, with the prospect? What are the next steps? Here's the things we could do. Like that's how I'm starting to see how I'm going to start creating these uh, projects. But I'd love to see, to be able to, one, share this project with other people. I don't know if that's even possible,
Yeah,
because
that
I'd love to
seems to
share it with
be
the
a
team.
significant limitation of this, at least for the moment. And that is, it's
Yeah,
not collaborative. It's like you're in the project yourself
yeah,
in your
yeah,
ChatGPT account. I don't know if
yeah.
that's true if you're using Teams. Like, is the Teams version of ChatGPT possessed of collaborative teamwork within a project? It ought to be. So yeah, and
Hmm.
that would solve your problem, I think, as you want to
And we,
use it
we
as
we
a
stopped
central
using Teams because we didn't really see the value of the
value. Yeah.
Teams. It was like, well. So that could be one. I have a feeling that will probably be an occurrence. It would just only make sense in an enterprise or the education level. So that's one. It'd be this would be amazing if it would connect to Drive or OneDrive. That I
Right.
mean, Google Drive or OneDrive. That would be even better because now, and kind of like the connector that Microsoft Copilot has with SharePoint, if they can ever get that connector, because I don't think even Anthropic doesn't have that type of connector. Like they have
Mhm.
Google Drive, but you can't. But Gemini does. Gemini
Right.
connects to your Google, and then it just seamlessly integrates. So I don't know if that's a limitation. I don't. It shouldn't be, but I'm not sure. But OneDrive for sure it shouldn't be. So I'd love
Mhm.
to have that. Maybe in the future. I don't think this is gonna happen too, but connecting your project with another person's OneDrive, that would be insane then, that like that level of connection. So the ability to speak would be really nice though, because if everyone's moving to advanced voice mode, it would just make sense to have that component in there
Right.
to really, really make it like, yeah, that'd be, yeah, that I'd be talking to projects all the time.
So if I can, this is a conversation that Carl was having yesterday, but if I can, in advanced voice mode, ask it to search the web, I also want to be able to ask it to search a project, right? That's
Yes, yes, yeah, because then that we this is a discussion we've had in the past is if you want ChatGPT to become an OS,
yeah.
you just add. I don't think I don't know what I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, Junmi too, and Andy. What would especially Junmi as like from an IT perspective, if ChatGPT becomes an OS, then I prefer ChatGPT to not build backward. So it's like try to mimic the functionalities of Word, whatever, all that OS, the Windows system or um, Office. I would think try to come up with new, like so for example in projects, could you with that integration, that would be a brand new feature functionality because now you're taking complete advantage of the entire system than trying to look back. Because I've always been thinking about like Lumiere's law. Everyone's still trying to look through the lens of current technology. So why don't you actually build for the future and start adding the real components in? Because we're always hearing about, oh, we kind of backward looks like, oh, it'll have this functionality or this functionality to mimic that process or operations that we've done in the past. Why don't you actually start now trying to get people to do different operations, reinvent the actual OS and what that actually means?
Yeah, I mean, it would certainly be easier for deployment and things like that if you have that integral or integrated OS like feature. I think some of the biggest questions is switching from that system one to system two, or the adoption, because unless they come out with a sandbox or premises located solution, then a lot of enterprise level companies are just going to be like, hold on, you know, we don't want that. While it may be easier for them to integrate and implement, right, having all of those features, they still want walls, right? Because that's what they're used to. So I think that might be a key component in terms of pure, technical side of things. Yeah, I mean, I've commented before where tech sort of goes into this cycle of on premises, off premises, client server, right? We used to have terminals where it all accessed from a central machine and then gave us back what we wanted, or versus local desktop workhorses. And so it's going to, that we're seeing another possible cycle of this, where if OpenAI becomes the Google in the sense of cloud computing, because it's just a natural progression of what their integrated platform plans are or AI OS plans are, then I can totally see it becoming a client server kind of situation where everything lives there in your firewalled or your walled garden, so to speak, and then just interacting and then, making calls out and things like that. But in terms of rolling it out, that's probably the easiest part, is just like, oh, here it is. Okay, we created an account for you. Go.
You know, it'd be awesome is if I can call 1-800 ChatGPT and reference my project. This
That,
is Carl. Oh,
that would
Carl
be
Ye
fantastic.
from this place, Calgary. He's like, yes. Oh,
Oh yeah.
okay, I got it. Okay, now can you
Well,
access my can I access my
well, here's the
projects?
thing. Here's the thing. They did mention on that stream that they are trying to figure out ways that you can do authentication. So
Right.
if your
Oh, that
conversation
would be
can
awesome.
then turn to your account, then absolutely. I think it'll be funny to see some retro voice commands kind of
Yes.
thing. If you remember, if you hit asterisk, 42 or 69 or whatever, you could get kind of things. So it'd be
Yes.
interesting if they implemented an entire tone system for ChatGPT as shortcuts.
Yeah, it would be something like, okay, high pitched voice, low pitch, oh, okay, that is Carl. But then how would you I could see a spy movie like a Jason Bourne's, like someone has like a spy like a voice changer to like you high, low, like bypassing the entire encryption method, which would be really funny. But it's all centered. Someone has to create this like a 1-800 chat GPT kind of spy movie, but you integrate it. It's so stupid because it's like it to me it breaks that wall. Like imagine you're going through a movie and then someone's like 1-800 chat GPT, you're like, it kind of breaks the illusion. You're like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. Or they have some dumb version of it, like 1-800 like AI voice AI voice 7632 or something stupid like that. They always put in the movies, or 1-800 AI voice 555. If
Okay,
anyone remembers.
they can't have voice authentication, right? Because their very own advanced voice could mimic your voice, right? They had to not distribute it for a really long time until they fixed the way that the advanced voice could just clone you and start talking back at you in your own voice.
Well,
Like,
that
that
would
can't
be an
be the
interesting
thing.
movie then. It's like you have all the classic spy tropes, but then you're just like, mimic villain one voice.
Right.
Beep. I got the thing. Roll credits. You know.
Hi, is this like the laundromat? And all you need is a person to go, "No," and now you have their, whatever. But you were, making me think of something, Jamie, in terms of enterprise, because this, currently you can only use you can't choose the model. The model, is 4.0, and that's it. But this is a natural fit for being able to choose to bring in your planning models and your reasoning models to come and like do an analysis of your project or set up the series of overview that then is going to be the context in which the rest of the project happens. So I haven't heard anybody talking about that, but now it seems like, well, of course, why wouldn't you do that, since one of the main cases for your reasoning model is planning?
Oh yeah. Like I mean, they've talked about they've announced that they are trying to work out the choosing the right model for the right job, right? And we've seen um, different iterations or different elements of that show up.
Mhm.
So right now it's all excuse me, in most of the product, you choose which one you want. Projects, they don't allow that yet. I'm sure that's probably an easy, toggle of a switch to really add that into the interface. um, I'm waiting for or I'm looking forward for the ability to just have all of my models available, and then it'll switch to whatever model's the most efficient for me, or what's the
Mhm.
best model for me, right? I have set of instructions, right? I have the content that's in there. Just having an analysis of they're making this request based upon the context, what is the right model to use for this, and then the instructions, you can explicitly say, no, I want to use O1 for everything. I mean, that's probably a waste, but if you really wanted to. So I think it really just comes down to, can they can they afford the compute to just allow it to be choose whatever model you want for whatever purpose, or is it more efficient for them and yourself if they really fine tune that model selection or that model switching? What would be really interesting is if OpenAI would ever get to a point where you could attach a third party model, like within their platform,
Oh, interesting.
being able to bring in for specific tasks, or an integration, right? Like you just make a call, and bring that in. It helps it to be a little more platform agnostic, but you still stay within the platform. So,
I
you
don't
know,
know that platform agnostic is a big priority for OpenAI.
oh no, I don't think so. They probably don't care, but
I think they care in the other direction.
ideally, all companies are designing their products to enhance and make a better, experience for their customers. Like I've said multiple times, I don't want to go all over the place, but if OpenAI makes the OS, then I'm always in that platform. So,
Right.
it doesn't matter as much that I'm using a different model or integrating third party systems. Just like take a look at Slack, right? Slack provides its own features, it's added additional features over time, but the main thing it has is it integrates with all your other tools. So, like for us, we primarily live in Slack, and then that's how our primary communication tool, that's how we bring in data, distribute, all that kind of stuff. So if OpenAI wants to be the AI OS platform, then they could probably loosen the grip a little bit on that.
So, I have a question for you all. This is OpenAI's ChatGPT projects. We also have Perplexity Spaces, which have similar features. We have Claude projects, which have similar features. Which will you use? Like, how are you choosing between these? What's important to you in this context? Andy, you want to go first? I'm sorry, and you are muted.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I currently have subscriptions to Perplexity Pro and to ChatGPT, the $20 plus account. So there was a question in the which one will I use? Well, I use Claude. I have a Claude API account. I sometimes use it for various reasons, but only very intermittently. Why? Because I've have much greater familiarity and experience with the OpenAI platform, and I use Perplexity for quite a different set of applications than I use the models that are available from OpenAI for. So I'll continue to use OpenAI, but there was someone said in the chat, is it time? Maybe it was Gwen, time to move over to Gemini now and leave OpenAI because of all the advances that Google has presented? And I don't have the answer to that question because I haven't even spent the time to truly evaluate in practical terms, me using Gemini, whether it offers anything beyond what OpenAI already provides me. So there's a stickiness, there's a barrier to switching here that I'm feeling, even though I'm very impressed with what Gemini has shown. In fact, their video's better now. If I ever start to do some video for text to video, and their reasoning is superior at the smaller model scale with Gemini 2 mini, for example. So I'm excited about it, but there's just this switching cost that I won't find easy to surmount.
I think what OpenAI is really good at is similar to what Apple did in the early days, is once you get into their ecosystem, I don't find myself wanting to get out and do something else, even if I know we know that Android and Google, some of the operating systems have had features that Apple is 3 years behind. Now, most of those features are like beta, experimental, but they're there and they got refined over time. But because the ecosystem is so good to use, they're like, well, that's fine. Do I really, really need that now? And then Apple goes out and says, this is magical. We created this. All the Android fanboys yell and scream, but it doesn't matter because everyone else would just say, hey, we have it. And it happens over and over and over again. And pretty much like it's pretty much Apple rubbing it in the face. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter if you're ahead. We're just gonna do it. So, and that's not the same case here, but but I also think too, it's interesting whenever we see the space move. I always see this company's cooked, this company's this. I was like, I was like, this is just like today, tomorrow, like the allegiances, it's so interesting, especially in the AI space. The allegiances switch so fast and they want the 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 new features every day and they're so hungry for them. Like, you haven't even used this. So it's like, oh, VO is so much better than SOR. I'm like, okay, but have you actually like what's the use case that you have actually used on a reliably and scalable way? Have you even used sort of like that? And then now you have VO. Are you going to do the same thing? And then when Pika comes out, the runway comes out, and Luma comes out, are you going to do the exact same thing? So it's like it just it makes me laugh whenever it's like I hear like one is winning. I was like,
Yeah,
today it
that's
really.
complete,
Yeah,
hype and hook and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. Um, the realities of it, or the wall that I run up against is there's so many, they're updating so quickly. I don't want to commit to any of them, right? And that's the hard part, because most of the business model, you know, pricing plans and things like that are, you get either a small amount of credits or you got to pay. And there is no easy low barrier of entry, because I want to iterate. I want to try these out, specifically things like Sora and Pika and Runway and VO, right? VO is still on wait list, right? You got to be a trusted tester to get access to it. Sora, if you don't have the $200 a month account, you can't really iterate. I blew through 50 generations in an afternoon, right? Same with Runway and things like that. So it's because the space changes so much with AI, and I think this can roll over into, uh, you know, like features like projects. It's like, okay, cool. You have added something that we expect, right? This is a nicety, but is it going to switch people from who's in deep into Anthropic projects, right? And like you said, the Apple example, yeah, it's the walled garden thing again. It's we don't have to be first, we just have to be best. And you've already committed, right? There's that fallacy, that gambler's fallacy. It's like, oh, we've already invested in this where we're not thinking to cut our losses and move on to something that might be better, because in a few more months, then they'll have it too. So I
and
think
it's
that's kind of what we're running into.
we also talk about the mind share, right? So it's like the mind share for the most part is ChatGPT equals AI.
Right.
That's the mind share, and that is very, very hard to break. No matter what, like any other brand right now, it's tough to
Mhm.
break that, even though we know certain models are better at certain things. And you know what? We haven't even tried a lot of the open source models. And I have a feeling some of the Chinese models, I haven't even tried, like some of them are probably better for certain tasks. I would
Yeah.
Mhm.
love to really deep dive, but just you don't have time because in a month it's something else. In a month, and I can
Right.
like can't run a business like that where I'm just switching one to one to one to one to one. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
gotta pick one, go use it, the heavily use, and test some of these on the side. And does it better? Okay, cool.
Right.
But I'd love to use DeepSeek more. I'd love to go
Hmm.
deep into Mistral more, but
Hmm.
I'm like, it's only 24 hours in a day. Can't do all that. So
Right. Exactly.
And
Yeah. So you got to pick and choose.
it's a good point because familiarity with a model can equal better results, even if it's not as good a model as one that is better according to evaluations, but you're not familiar with it, right? In a regular conversation, like Andy was talking about, you get to know how you like to use the model, what the model responds to, those sorts of things. And I actually feel that way about Claude. To my answer of the question, I am more likely to use Claude than I am ChatGPT because I now have more familiarity with Claude, the way that it likes to be prompted, all of that. But I will say that Perplexity came out after projects dropped for ChatGPT. Perplexity's version is Spaces. They added custom search. Like you can link a web page as a source of truth for your space that you would like it to take from, and that nobody else has. And I like that just seems really interesting to me. Carl, I see, yeah.
I think though, so and that's a tough thing because, for example, I want to use Perplexity more, but with projects, I was like, I'm not gonna go back and forth. I don't have
No.
time, right, to do one or the other. And who am I going to probably go with more because the features, not the, it's better, but it's like, wait a minute, it's just easier for me to get in there because I'm already on there. So I'm like, okay, fine, I'll do that. I like Gwen's question about are getting clients brand loyal. That's a difficult answer because one, our goal is to help them meet the business goal. It's not specifically the AI necessarily. It's what's the outcomes you want. Here's business revenue growth, customer service, what customer satisfaction, whatever that is, and let's put together the best solution. But also the company itself has their own internal AI things that they're doing. So like for example, do you want to try Copilot? We're like, recommendation is you get small licenses, try it, and see if you can develop a plan to ensure that rollout is done well, because you can't just roll it out and then no one uses it. That's not a good use of your money. But like if you enjoy Copilot, that's your business's decision. We have our point, like perspective on it. Maybe you want to try different things, but in the end, you still have to make the decision to go with it. Um, but whenever we implement a solution, we don't try to do you should do this or the other, because we know some better at things than other. But we also have to keep track in the space because O1 and Pro can actually do certain, like it's part of the it's part of the thinking of, yes, we want to make sure that the company continues to operate and engage and make sure to meet their business goals. But we're also thinking, hey, if you're going to actually compete and get ahead, you can't just um you can't just continue your current business operations. You have to really not just add or bolt in an AI service or workaround or automation or digital assistant. That's not part of it. You have to reinvent how you think about how you actually run your business. And some companies are open to that, some companies aren't there yet, but that's how you have to compete, because really the thought process here is like, there is probably a startup that can come in and outdo your business with less than 5 to 10 people, and an agent can do it. Maybe they need maybe less in trades, maybe less in construction, but that's coming for a lot of people. So how can you rethink your business like that? So that's what we're trying to put in as well. And that doesn't have anything to do with brand loyalty. That has to do with a reimagining, complete overhaul of how you think an operation is going to happen. And some clients are coming to, they're realizing that with some of the things that were like the new things that are coming. It's like, oh, that actually makes sense. But it's a journey for for companies to get there, and some get there faster than others.
Yep. And that's a really good point, because what that is doing is making the case for why you want an outside consultant to come in who understands what's happening in AI, but can learn about your business from new eyes, right? Because we can show you, we can help break down the processes, and whether you do 0 to 60 or daily AI strategies or what have you, there's huge benefit in not having to do it all from inside the box that your business is in, because you have a wheelhouse, right? It's why you're a successful business. Yeah, great points, Carl. I am going to wrap up because we are going to be back later today, unless any of my co-hosts are saying I must say something immediately. And not hearing that. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have been talking about ChatGPT projects, and we hope that you try them. There was lots of great conversation in the chat. Our chat often happens primarily in the YouTube live stream. So if you're listening to this and want to join in, come and join us tomorrow or any day, because we are here Monday through Friday. Every week. We are here through the holidays. We are here through the holidays that are after the holidays, and we're here through the new year. We have a newsletter that comes out on Sunday mornings. You can find it at thedailyAIshow.com. And at 1 o'clock, we're going to be back here for day 11, 1 o'clock Eastern, day 11 of OpenAI Shipmas. And one of these days got to be Dolly, right? I don't think it is today. I think they're going to preview Operator or tasks. There have been some secret task things that are being shown on X.
Microsoft ad.
Or
That'd
we
be
may
the
all
worst. That would be
we
the worst.
Like right
But actually,
before
that would be
the
the best,
last-
so we can make fun of it. That would actually be
Oh,
better
there
for
you
our
go.
show than anything.
So come for the come watch with us. Come for the live reviews and the live reactions, and see you later today. Thanks, everybody.
Aloha.